Hi, in this video I'm going to be looking at a way of practicing modes, and as you probably know, modes are in themselves just scales, and the way a lot of people think about modes is related to a parent scale. So for example, if we do a C major scale and we play it in a pretty typical fingering on guitar over 2 octaves, and we take that as our parent scale, a lot of people think about modes as simply starting that scale on notes other than the root. So you see people talking about playing a Dorian mode by simply saying don't play from C, play from D. And of course it still sounds pretty much like a C major scale starting on D. And I practiced modes for a long time like that, so I was always thinking of what the parent scale was. And in a way it works not too bad, that system, because it gives you a reference point and you can start to work out a little bit about how modes operate by always going back to what the parent scale is. However, over time I realised it wasn't the best way, for me anyway, to think about modes, because modes are really scales in themselves. The fact that they're related to a parent scale is all well and good, but ultimately the way that you'll employ them in your playing is where they're being played over specific chords. So what I want to have a look at in today's video is just the way I found to practice modes so they're a little bit more separate entities rather than always being related back to a parent scale. So hopefully you're not too confused by that, but perhaps it's easier if I just play this. Now, one of the first exercises I started working on to help me digest what modes were all about was playing modes all from the same root, rather than sort of playing C major and then going, I'm going to play D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian and all that. Because basically speaking, you're playing the C major scale when you do that, and it's only really if you're playing these modes over modal harmony that you're going to hear each one of those scales as a sound in itself. But if you practice it, at least that's the way it seemed to me, but if you practice it this way, you get a lot more of the identity and the sound of each mode, because you're playing it from the same root. So in effect, as I play through this in a moment or two, you'll hear that I'm actually changing keys in terms of the parent scales. I'll explain a bit more as I do it. So we'll start out with something fairly simple. I'm just going to play that C major scale in 2 octaves again. Now, as you probably know, that scale, the major scale, has a modal name. That's the Ionian mode. And the second major scale mode, I should also emphasise I'm talking about major scale modes only today, not the other scales which produce modes. Now, the second mode that we all hear about with the major scale is a Dorian mode. Now, I could simply say, okay, if it was C Ionian, the scale I just played, I go up to D and play a fingering that a lot of people may know. You can see, there we are, I'm now playing D Dorian, and keep going up through all the other modes. But in effect, it's all going to sound like it's C major. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play C Dorian, because I played a C major scale, and now I'm going to play C Dorian. Now, the first thing that brings to my ear is I'm playing from the same root, but it's very clear the scale is different. And it's different because it's a minor scale now, rather than a major scale. So there's our major scale from C, or Ionian mode, and now the Dorian mode from the same root. So you can immediately hear the difference in sound. So that's kind of the approach we're going to use today. Now, I'm going to go through this reasonably quickly, so you may need to rewind the video a few times. But basically the idea is I'm going to play all the major scale modes, there's 7 of them, and I'm going to do them all from the same root, the root being C. So let's do that and hear what it sounds like. So we've done the first two, major, Dorian. The next major scale mode is Phrygian. You can hear straight away a big difference in sound. Then we're going to play Lydian. Again, it's a major based mode but with a raised fourth in it. I'll go through all the intervals in a moment. Fifth mode, Mixolydian. Dominant seventh scale. Then we have Aeolian. And then finally we have Locrian. Now, even if modes are fairly new to you and you don't know all the intervals and all those different modal scales there, the one thing I hope you can hear from that is they all sound quite different and they have different characteristics. I'll just briefly go through what you're getting in terms of the intervals with these scales. Major, as we know, is root, second, major third, fourth, fifth, natural sixth, major seventh to the octave. I'll just play it in one octave so you can hear it like that. Dorian, the second mode, minor scale, 1 or root, 2, flat third, fourth, fifth, major sixth, flattened seventh to the root or the octave. The third one is Phrygian, very distinctive sound this, root, flattened second, flattened third, fourth, fifth, flattened sixth, flat 7. So 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. Then we have the Lydian mode, which is similar to the major but it has a raised fourth. 1, 2, 3, raised fourth, fifth, natural sixth, major seventh, octave. Then we have Mixolydian, the fifth mode, similar to a major scale but it has a flattened seventh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, major 6, flat 7, root or octave. And then we have the Aeolian scale, another minor scale. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. And finally we have Locrian, which is root, flattened second, flattened third, fourth, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. So again, it's kind of similar to Phrygian but a little bit different intervallically. Root, flattened second, flattened third, fourth, flattened fifth, flattened sixth, flat 7. And back to Ionian. Okay, now in the follow-up video to this I'm going to go through a little practice routine based on that but also adding some chords in. I've gone through stuff quite quickly there so you may need to rewind the video a few times, but hopefully you'll start to hear from practicing it like that each of these modes or scales in their own right has a very particular quality in terms of sound and interval structure. And for me, practicing it this way really made a big difference because I was able to hear the difference between major to Dorian to Phrygian, etc. all the way through the different modes. So give it a try and I'll see you in the next video.